everyone. Welcome to Mission to Inspire. My name is Shola Ajibade, and I've got our special guest today. His name is George Scott. Hi, George. How are you?
Hello. Good morning.
You're welcome to our show. I'll just do a short intro. George is the managing director of Faith Property Group. He's a property investor, he's a property trainer and mentor. He's a former military personnel. He served with the British Armed Forces. So, George, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your service with the British Armed Forces?
Yeah, gladly. So, well, thank you for having me. It's quite a nice interruption in the day, this. My phone's on silent. You've got my full attention. It's a pleasure because normally Monday morning, the weekend, as everyone's come up with all their ideas of what they want to do with their plans and their viewings and their projects, and then the phone just goes nuts, and I can see it flashing away there, and I'm able to ignore it. So the army, then, I think the army was possibly one of the very best things that ever happened to me, because I was on a bad path before I joined the army. My parents are still together. I'm not from a broken home, but I fell in with a bad crowd at school and was beginning to get brought home by the police and doing stupid, irresponsible things to try and get in with the cool kids. And by joining the army, it sort of completely straightened me out because it taught me about respect for others, discipline, well-being, fitness, a whole sense of adventure, serving others. And I was really fortunate in my time because business was booming. We were in Northern Ireland, Iraq, Afghanistan, and I was involved in a lot of training throughout that period. 16 years I spent in the army, and it's made me who I am today. And for that reason, I'm thankful and I'm proud of my service. You know, I loved it, Shola. It was really, really special to me.
Wow. Wow. I saw, I know that you served 16 years in the parachute regiment as well.
Yeah, and I hated jumping out of planes, which was a bit of a strange one. I hated jumping out of planes, but we had to regularly. I don't know what that was about.
That must have been scary, but for you, it wouldn't be scary anyway. Something you've done for 16 years. Wow.
Well, you say that, but there was never a time when I didn't have adrenaline and sort of anxiety before every jump, because things would go wrong. And I didn't want to be one of those statistics that snaps a leg or, you know, gets trampled as we're exiting the aircraft. I always did have that sort of pre-fight nerves every time before a jump. As soon as we're out the door, and I'm in the sky, and sort of training kicks in and our routine and our confidence in our drills.
Right.
Yeah, I was a paratrooper, but I hated parachuting. I have to be honest.
What about the 2 years in the DRC and working in the conservation and anti-poaching? What is that about?
So I left the army to become a bodyguard.
Okay.
And then quickly ended up sort of managing the logistics and the operations of the bodyguard team, which was corporate. Now, the military is not a corporate setting, and I didn't really connect with the corporate world. It wasn't aligned with me, my values, and I didn't wake up in the morning enthused to go to work. So if you think about my time in the army, much of that was based on attrition and violence, and people were hurt. And I thought by doing something within the conservation space, it's almost giving something back to the world. Do you know what I mean? It's looking after endangered species that can't protect themselves to the level that they need to. And we were in a fortunate position where, having been so extensively trained in the military, our skill set enabled us to then enter these protected areas, these national parks, recruit a team of young men and women, and then teach them our skills that we obtained for the military, tailored to anti-poaching and conservation in the jungle or the savannah in Congo.
Wow.
We'd get them to a position whereby they could operate independently, but then we'd wrap mentoring around them. So we would accompany them on the ground, deliberately on their operational patrols to support them, to debrief them, to help build their capacity.
Right.
And it was amazing. It was great. But it meant that I was an absent dad. I was never at home. And I've got 3 lovely children here, and I never see them. So there was one morning we had a bad morning, a bad patrol. There was some fatalities, and that kind of forced me into right, enough's enough. I've been watching property investing from the sidelines for a while.
Right.
I need to do something that enables me to be safe, be with my family, and property the ticket for me.
Wow. That actually brings me to the second question. So when you left the military, why property? Why did you choose property?
So a friend of mine gave me a book. I actually have it here. I'd have to crawl under the desk to get it, but he gave me this book. It's all dog-eared and covered in mud. It was Property Investing Secrets by Rob Moore and Mark Comer at Progressive.
Yeah, Progressive, yeah.
Wow, I read this book and I believed in it. I read the book and I thought, this is sustainable. This is achievable. They're not, with all due respect to those guys, there's nothing, special about them. They just had a dream, had a passion, and worked through all the problems. And in doing so, have actually ended up being those special people because they've created something remarkable. But it gave me faith that property would allow me to be at home with my family.
Yes.
And grow a sustainable business. And it's paid dividends. I'm so glad my mate put that book in my hand. In fact, maybe I'll dig it out. I'll send you a picture of it later. Rob Moore signed it for me. I took it up to Peterborough and I got him to sign the book.
That is interesting. Yeah. That's a treasure. You might be able to sell that in auction someday.
No, I'm going to keep hold of it for sentimental value.
Because I know Rob Moore and Mark Comer, they are, very important personalities in property. Oh, yeah. In property now. So yeah.
It was amazing. My friend gave me that book, and then I thought, this is it. Let's go for it. And then, inbuilt in my personality is I don't just dip a toe in. I become obsessed, and I started to quickly see results. And that's why I thought, well, this is the solution for me. And it's given me the opportunity to attend this Zoom right now. Okay, 10:30 on a Monday morning. Yes. Because I can. Because I manage my own diary. Because I'm free in terms of time management. I can do what I want. Because property is paying so well. So yeah, it's been a big box ticked for me. I'm glad I read that book.
Oh, that's great. So as a property investor now, I'm sure you have your strategies. What are your strategies or your business model?
I package deals. I'm a deal packager by trade, and I know that it's encouraged and advised to have, a large portion of your time focused on one strategy with an eye on another one, and then a longer term aspiration further down the line. And then you keep working towards your vision. To be honest with you, there's only one of me, right? So for now, while it's going so well with deal packaging, that's all I want to focus on, because it's putting enough money in the bank for me to then look at buying some of my own. It's keeping me out of a job. Like, I work for myself. I'm happy with now. And I've spent so much of my life so focused on the future that it's actually really rewarding and calming to be able to think I'm okay with right now. So to answer your question, I'm just happy doing what I'm doing. I'm just going to keep on packaging as many deals as I can, trying to provide the most valuable service for my investors. And then good things will come further down the line. I'm happy just to remain doing this. Package deals, single lets and HMOs. And that's my sweet spot. That's my comfort zone. And there's clearly a demand for it. So I'm just going to continue that whilst it's so advantageous. Wow.
That is really interesting. Because I know that you're one of the mentors in Progressive, the mastermind. So I know you're one of the mentors for the deal packaging. Can you just tell us a little bit about deal packaging? What is it about?
So deal packaging, in its simplest of terms, is using the techniques that we have learnt in the room at Progressive on the masterclass to identify a deal. So there's a massive difference between a house and a deal. So we find a deal, we find the investor, then we connect the two, and we charge. It sounds very, very simple.
It sounds simple, yeah. I know it's not as simple as that because I've been on that training. I've been on that training, and you're one of the mentors on that mastermind. So I know it's not as simple as you just said.
Yeah.
So can you shed a little bit of light for people that might want to do deal packaging?
Yeah, I think so. It's a great strategy in the sense that it is like, so without question, it's the fastest access to cash in any of the strategies that we teach at Progressive.
Right.
Conscious that nothing in property is a get rich quick scheme. Everything compounds over time, but deal packaging enables you to understand all things property. I would argue it's probably the most beneficial entry-level technique, because it gives you a fundamental understanding of every direction that property offers.
Yes.
And then you can then specialize in your niche, and we'll always advise against people that we come into contact with that have grand ideas of, I want to package land, I want to package houseboats, I want to package portfolios, I want to do all this stuff. The most sensible thing to do is identify one thing in your area that works, and repeat that process on a consistent basis, almost to the point where it becomes boring. If it pays, then it's a sensible strategy, and just keep focusing on it.
Exactly.
Single lets, for example. So people come in all the time, particularly when we're mentoring, and they're saying, oh, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. What they're doing there is they're diluting their efficiency. They're spreading themselves really thin. So you always advise, focus on one area that you know works and you've proved the concept, and then just repeat that again and again and again. So
consistency is the key, basically,
really
in this.
I couldn't agree more. Absolutely, yeah.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much for shedding light into deal packaging, to be honest, because I know a lot of people want to know about it. But at least this will give them at least a little bit of the idea if they want to do it. So that's
one of the other most important things to point out with deal packaging is that you view a large number of real estate, a large amount of real estate. You find yourself in properties on a consistent basis.
Yes.
Now, ultimately, we want to grow our own portfolio. So we're in that house with a view to buy.
Yeah.
If, let's say, for example, we do 3 viewings in a day and only one of them meets our specific criteria, you're not going to have wasted your time and viewing 2 properties that are just without any profit in them, without any scope to help people or generate some cash.
Yes.
So if you can monetize on the other 2 by selling them to your database of investors, then that's such a clever, financially sensible use of your time.
That's true. That's really true. That's really clever though, because you buy one for yourself from your scenario, and then you still package the other 2 and get some fee for sourcing those 2 as well. So,
and it's not that with the other 2 in that scenario, we're not palming off the dregs, the deals that don't work.
Yes.
Because we'll pre-qualify the leads before we view. So we're not going to view something which we know that there's no scope for profit. We're not going to look at a new build. There's no value add there. It's not a deal. Anybody can go on to Rightmove and then search for property in their area and buy one. We need to provide something bespoke and niche that relies on our skill set to do so.
Yes.
So of those 3 properties that we're viewing in a day, we've already qualified them in our by doing some desktop analysis that there's potential for a deal there. And then when we stand in the room, that's when we understand whether or not we can monetize on it. But yeah, with the intention of keeping one for ourselves and then packaging the remainder up.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that.
I am too. Thank you so much for shedding light into that for us. Thank you so much. So from what you've just said, I mean, from the deal packaging, can you give any recommendations or tips for people who may actually want to do? I know you've done it already, you've said it already, but any more tips for people that really want to do deal packaging?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of what they're teaching at Progressive, and I owe the trainers there for getting me out of that dangerous environment where I was working in Africa. So therefore, I'm a case study for Progressive in the sense that what they have taught me has worked, and I've managed to reduce my income through deal packaging. So my genuine advice is to get in touch with Progressive, perhaps even through yourself, and attend one of Katie Wilson's free online discovery days. Yes. And they generally run, I think we run one every month, and it's 9 a.m. in the morning to around about lunchtime. And she gives you an insight into what we teach on the course. Because let's say, for example, I don't know, my eldest son, he's 16 now. If he was like, I'm going to become a doctor, well, you've got to go and train to become a doctor. You're not going to be employed. You must educate yourself in the skill that you want to do. So I know there's a number of training providers out there, but from personal experience, I put all my eggs in one basket with Progressive and replace my income. So I genuinely advise your followers to just inquire about that discovery day. No money in, just have a look. And then if they want to join us in the room on the masterclass, then, and if that's something that suits them or appeals to them, then they're more than welcome to do so. But a plan without education is destined to fail.
I totally agree, actually, because that was how I knew about deal packaging, and all my property training was true Progressive as well. So I totally agree. I can't agree less.
No, I'm pleased.
Thank you so much. So what is your because I know you've done some projects recently. Can you talk us through the projects that you've done?
So my favorite is probably 3 HMOs we sold last week. That was a good week, that. Because through free marketing, so we've never spent a penny on Facebook ads or anything like that. Just from an online presence and showcasing our current projects and what it is we do, I was approached by a vendor who had a sizable portfolio. And their plan is to build blocks from the ground up. So they're going to secure some land and then build some blocks, a large scale development, excuse me. Now, it's everything in property is always about the people, less the property, right? So this guy found me through social media, and we're just having a conversation, and I'm just listening, trying to understand how can I serve you best. And he says, George, to free up some cash or to generate some cash to do my large scale development, I'm going to be selling up some of my portfolio. Can you help? So, of course I can. So he ended up offering me 3 of his cash flowing portfolios that are fully tenanted and said, can you sell these for me? So I've connected with this guy through social media for free. I then advertised on social media, just on my own personal Facebook page, an image of the property and some key information, just enough for someone to assess whether or not it's something that they might be interested in. And then each of those 3 was sold within 24 hours. So found the vendor through Facebook, found the buyer through Facebook, and sold each of them, and that's put a good chunk of cash in the bank for a week. I made probably, don't want to put specifics on here, but what the average UK salary, maybe almost made that in just 1 week. That's what deal packaging can give you. So that was my best property.
So in 1 month, you sold 3 deals, basically.
Well, it was 8 days, so I'm going to call that a week.
Wow, within a week.
Yeah.
Wow, thumbs up.
Absolutely, yeah. I couldn't believe it. It just popped, and weeks like that, I've got to be honest, weeks like that are rare. To do that many deals in a month is probably about average, but to do them in a week is fantastic. So, we're so pleased with that outcome.
And I also know that you do HMO.
Yeah.
So what do you do in terms of HMO?
I just package them up on behalf of investors. I think they cash flow so well. It's possibly the most, the fastest, most aggressive cash generator out of anything in property. Because as opposed to a single let where you're renting out the building, the HMOs are rented out by room, and all of these are 5 beds. The 3 we sold last week are all 5 beds. En suite, so there's no shared bathroom, so that's attractive to a young professional that's working in a factory in the area, for example.
Exactly.
And for one building, the investor that's just bought that deal is going to make almost, but not quite, 25 grand a year in rent. Now, you can't get in rent. You can't get that in a single let. Now, if that investor holds that for a number of years, it's going to go up in capital value anyway.
That's
it's
true.
Just, and then why I like packaging these is because I know that ethically and morally, I am safe. I've enabled the investor something which is going to cash flow. Yes. I've enabled the investor something that's going to appreciate long term.
Exactly.
And I sit back and let it and allow them to make the decision. So it's a sound investment. Therefore, I can go to sleep at night knowing that we're providing a service.
That service, that is really good. Really, really good. But do you do the refurb? Do you do projects management on any of these properties?
So the 3 we did last week, no. But we're in the process of refurbishing an HMO in Nottingham because the vendor wants to refinance, but there's not enough profit in the property at the moment to enable a healthy refinance. So we're going to come in. I think we're going in towards the back end of June when the students all leave to go home, and we're going to then go in with a refurb team. We're hoping to then boost the value of that property to allow the vendor to refinance to go and buy another one, because he's found his sweet spot. He owns a large number of HMOs in Nottingham, and it's all about just recycling the cash and trying to make as many opportunities for himself as possible. So the 3 that I sold, they're already tenanted and cash flowing, so no need for refurbishment. But to answer your question, yes, we do, and we're in the process of just tying down the details for one now in Nottingham.
In Nottingham. So where do you package your deals? Is it nationwide or is it a specific area in the UK?
So initially, and this is interesting, right? Because your journey ebbs and flows as you learn more about what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
So I live in Nottingham, and I knew that I wanted to package deals. So I started sourcing to order in Nottingham, and we did okay. It was quite clunky during COVID, and there was, we were conscious that the market was inflated, and the deals were few and far between. But after a while, we realized that social media enables you to market nationwide. And if people have got faith in you as a deal packager, do you need to be in the postcode? Do you need to attend that viewing yourself? Or can you have a colleague, a friend, or a member of your team attend that viewing on your behalf? So now it's a national deal packaging business model where we've sold deals this year in Croydon, Luton, Blackpool, Hull. We're going out now. Because we're in the process of scaling. And yes, to grow your own portfolio, I think it's vital to sort of almost pick one area and expand out.
Yes.
But with deal packaging, if you can analyze the deal, that I know you're in London-ish.
Yeah, I mean Bracknell.
Bracknell, yeah.
Yeah, Bracknell.
So let's say, for example, social media presents you an opportunity where there's an off-market property in Dover. Yeah. You're not going to drive all the way down there.
No,
but if you can
too far from
everything about that property, and you understand that it's a profitable property deal, then you can market that from the comfort of your own home. So yeah, we're national now, which has opened up a whole funnel of leads that we wouldn't have got if we just set ourselves a small little area around where we live.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Great. So any drawbacks since you started property investment?
Yeah, I think I struggled with builders, if I'm honest with you. I'm not a builder. I don't know. I couldn't confidently price up a refurb, but in order to package the deal, I've got to inform the investor what the refurb's likely to be. So I had to kiss a few frogs. You know that phrase? So I attend a viewing with a builder on the proviso that I guarantee John that you're going to get this work if we have an offer accepted on the property. We're just viewing it today. So he'd come back and say, all right, George, I'm happy to work on that basis. The refurb is going to come in at 20 grand. Let us know when we've got the job. But the market is so heated, I didn't get the offer accepted. So I took John to 3 viewings. We had 3 offers rejected on each one. And he's like, George, you're wasting my time. You're wasting my time. There's nothing in this for me. Thank you. So I burned that relationship with him. And that's, you know, I at the time, my level of inexperience, I wasn't sure how to navigate around that. So what I did was I signed up for the mastermind, so the mentoring program where we met at Progressive Packaging. And one of the mentors had this checklist, this self-populating spreadsheet, which then you could then take to your own viewings, input the approximate costs, and it would churn out a figure at the end of what the refurb was likely to be. So my next project after attending the mastermind, I did that, and then we had an offer accepted, and I brought the builder around, and it was out by £1,500, which is tiny considering that the refurb cost was about 35 grand.
Wow.
So yeah, now I go in there and I can price them up myself with confidence. But just starting, when I was just starting out, I think I upset a few builders because I'd take them along with me and then get nothing accepted, and I was upsetting them because they felt like I was wasting their time.
Yes.
Fair enough. But now that we've got a clear vision of what we are doing, we just work with 1 or 2 build teams, and we try and achieve a stagger where as one project closes, the other one overlaps, and we can keep them employed permanently, really. And they attend all viewings with me now because they know that the chances of getting the work is adamant, is agreed on.
Oh, that's really great. So that spreadsheet you talked about, is that so if you populate the figures in, will that then generate, because I know with refurb, it will depend on the area sometimes. It might be more expensive in London.
Yeah, and it's going to be, and materials are going up.
Material cost and labor. Yeah. So how do you work around that? Because if you're sourcing nationally, which means your refurb costs would vary.
Yeah, that's a great question. So say, for example, for you in London, it's going to be pricier for the cost of materials than compared to where I am.
Yeah.
So when you can input and affect the data, you know, the formulas that are in the Excel spreadsheet. You can increase your average. You can increase that percentage. So it's always worth checking with the builder. So I think what I would do, say, for example, if you wanted to use that spreadsheet, if you have a good relationship with a builder, I would go in together and then don't communicate the estimate to each other. Sit on it for 24 hours, do your analysis, have a look at some price comparisons, and come back together and see how close you were. If you do that on 3 occasions and you're within, you know, a tight window of where the professionals come to, then that gives you confidence in that spreadsheet and your own ability to price up the refurb. But I really did struggle with that initially. I was a duck out of water with it. I was very uncomfortable with those refurb costings.
Is there any other challenge that you faced?
Maybe time. Maybe I spent a lot of time doing everything. I kind of wish I'd outsourced sooner. So now a lot of admin tasks are taken up with a virtual assistant or taken on by a virtual assistant.
Yes.
Whereas in the beginning, I was of the opinion that I needed to make sure it was done my way, to my standards, in my time. But all I was doing there was killing my own time. And I ended up being extremely busy and working from home and never really stopped.
True.
So, you know, if you're working in an office on the high street, you turn the lights off, you lock up at 5, and then there's that physical transition in between work and home, I didn't have that transition, because if I heard my phone ring, but I'm playing with the kids, I then come back in to take the call. So I think advice to somebody starting out would be, have the confidence to understand what a virtual assistant can provide from the beginning, because that will free up so much of your time. Not time to sit and watch films, but time to focus on the important things that have to happen, the income generating tasks.
Yes, I think that's very important. Yeah.
Yeah. Use a VA.
Very true. Very true. Very important. Very, very important. Free up time for activities or things that you will do that will generate income. Exactly.
So important. First, I was too stubborn to do that, but now I assign as much as I can get away with to the VA. Then there was a point initially where I thought, well, this is going to cost me. I don't want to have to spend more money. I'm paying for training, I'm paying for logos, I'm paying for flyers and leaflets and envelopes. But the time it affords you to focus on the deals where the money is, it soon trumps what you're spending out. You get one deal in at $3,500. I'm not so bothered about the £60 I spent for a month on a VA anymore. You know what I mean? Excuse me.
Very true. Very, very true. Very, very, very wise advice there, to be honest. Because I think a lot of people would want to do something, but then they're thinking of what they're going to spend.
Exactly.
Because they've not started making the income. That's the trouble. Like if you're starting out and you've not started making the income, you will be thinking, which one is more important? What do I do first?
Yeah. And that's maybe why I did it. Maybe that's why I put it off for so long, because I thought, if the business, if it's not making any money, how can I start outsourcing? I may as well just suffer and do it myself. But notice I used the word suffer. I was suffering. As soon as I can impart a large portion of workload to my VA, who we have a fantastic relationship with, she's really, really good, diligent, detail focused. It enables me to do what I need to do, which is bring in more business. So I couldn't function now without a VA.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much for that word of advice. Any success story that you would like to share since you started property investment? 3
deals in a week. There's my. I've already mic dropped on that one.
Round of applause.
Yeah, I was really happy with that one. But to be honest with you, that was my easiest week. Also, everything just seemed to pop really nicely.
That's great. Any inspirational advice that you like to advise our viewers out there who may want to do something similar or anything at all to what you're doing?
I think I got put on the spot once, and I was doing an interview, and someone asked me for a phrase that speaks to me, and I was like, well, you put me on the spot, I don't have one. So I went away and I prepared one, and I thought I'd made it up, Shola, but then I checked on Google and it's there, all over it. But creative action creates opportunity. No, in fact, I've just said my own phrase wrong. Positive
that's
action.
A good phrase.
It still works, doesn't it? Maybe I'll coin that one. Positive action creates opportunity.
Okay.
Now that's what I want to share with your following, because if you approach everything with a positive can-do attitude, and you're determined, you're so focused with your goal or your reason why to achieve it, then doors will start to open up for you. So Katie Wilson is my business partner. If I approached, so let me just back up a step. In property, we're probably going to get about 95 no's for every single yes. Okay. You just keep pushing. If I got down and dejected and lost my confidence because of all these no's, Katie's going to look at me and be like, well, there's nothing in this guy. He's a defeatist. He gives up when the going gets tough. But because I live by that mantra of positive action creates opportunity, she saw a spark in me where she then thought, I'm going to bring this guy closer to me. So now, Katie's day rate is phenomenal. Like she's an expert in her field. She's a celebrity property investor.
Exactly.
But I get to spend every single day working, under her influence and her guide, which we're doing deals in our sleep, and I'm getting consistent mentoring from arguably one of the very best deal packages in the country.
Yeah.
All from a positive outlook from when things get tough.
Yes.
I'll just keep pushing because I refuse to go back to Africa and spend my time getting shot at in the jungle. So there's my phrase: positive action creates opportunity.
Positive action creates
opportunity.
Positive actions create opportunity. That's very true, though.
Yeah.
That's true, though. So we have to be positive. Our outlook towards life in general, or whatever we do, has to be positive.
Got to be.
And also, I think with being positive, it also sparks up our energy as well.
Yep. I agree with you. And it's a people business. If those that don't get how important the people are in a property business, they're going to fall by the wayside. So let's take you as an example. You're smiling, you're on time, you're happy, you're laughing. You're going to attract people to you like a magnet.
Yes.
It's all about being positive because it's a people business, and people need to learn to know you, like you, trust you.
Exactly.
And once that begins to happen, then doors will open for you, and people will offer joint venture finance opportunities. Or, George, I've got an HMO. I'm looking at selling it off market. Can you help me? Just from being positive, by being active, by being out there, it creates an opportunity, and the right people come to you.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah.
Now, if people wanted to contact you in terms of deal packaging, how will they contact you?
For my name, George Scott, on Facebook, which is where I do most of my business, really. Right. And just keep scrolling until the name aligns with the image you're using, and then just send me a direct message, and I'll be happy to chat.
Right. Okay. Great. So they can contact you on Facebook. Any other means to contact you?
We have our website on Fate Property Group. There's a contact me button at the bottom. Also on Instagram, but I think Facebook is probably my preferred platform.
Your preferred platform.
LinkedIn as well. I don't use Twitter, but they can, just put my name into any social platform, and they should be able to find me. Okay,
great. Thank you so much. So if you want to contact George, you know where to get him.
Absolutely right.
Thank you so much, George. It's a pleasure having you on our show. Thank you so much.
No, pleasure's all mine. Anytime.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Take care, Shola. Thank you.